His Imperial Majesty Kaiser Adolf Hitler the Hohenzollern decided to abdicate. The required documents to hand over to me were officially dated the 28th of December, 1977. He had a protracted argument with Italian Secret Service agents about them doing the same sort of administration for him as they had when he named me as rightful sole royal family beneficiary in 1972. He eventually made me sole beneficiary of 3 estates. The Hohenzollern royal family estate, his Italian Diplomatic Asylum estate, and a German, off the post office shelf, civilian Wilkid estate, under his real name. They begrudgingly agreed to follow his instructions after he had prepared all the necessary authorization documents, which took a lot of work. He gave them copies of the documents without signatures or seals and agitatedly told them to do it and follow his instructions. He was then required to send copies of the abdication documents to the correct authorities in both nations called Germany himself, via the strictest form of Italian registered post. He went to the post office himself late in the afternoon, after having difficulties with the giggling, tea and everything morons trying to remind him of Albert Einstein. He sent them via the post office, which was a slow process. He at least got polite customer service from the postal employee there. It took so long that he did not get home until very late in the day. When he arrived back to his house, they had already decided to attempt to kill him. He tried to sit down and have a meal, late at night. It was poisoned. After he had been eating for a while, he suddenly lurched forward, making gasping noises, clutching his chest. They stood near or around him, trying not to fake a laugh, with strangled fake happy looks on their faces, watching. They did that weird twinkly-eyed thing, and almost did a little dance whilst they watched him choking. They decided, after some strained laughter, that they had better call an ambulance. Waiting until he was dead would have looked too suspicious. They rang one, and watched him gasping for breath, clutching his chest, and changing color. When the ambulance arrived, it was one of those private, freelance, ice cream van type ambulances. Part of the Italian system of whoever gets there first, gets the job and payment. It had a weak excuse for a siren, and was followed to his house by a private doctor in a car. The ambulance staff went upstairs to find gaping people looking like they were tying knot to do a na dance. They placed him on a portable trolley and took him down the stairs. They put him in the ambulance and took off slowly without putting the siren on. The perpetrators of his poisoning decided there was no way he would survive it. He would be dead before he got to the hospital, in their opinion. They asked the doctor, who was checking things out, asking questions and taking notes, if he would take a quiet bribe to write a death certificate on the spot for them. He agreed. And almost immediately wrote one. Signed off on it and handed it to them, keeping a copy and receiving his hefty bribe. They were then given instructions on what to do with it. In Italy, if a death certificate is issued, it must be handed in to local authorities, like police station, to make it official. They immediately took it to the local police and handed it in, following the doctor's instructions. They then had an impromptu drinking session and mini party, which started well after midnight. They drank his liquor cabinet dry. The following day, very drunk, they scheduled a set mourning period, then organized a wake and funeral. They then busied themselves with that, getting ready. Fake soggy oversized handkerchiefs, other props, choice of coffin. They got in some people very allergic to grapes and had them eat a small bunch each. It made them appear to start crying, with water leaking out their eyes profusely as if they were devastated. If they tried to laugh, it leaked out more. Any change in emotional state caused fresh tears. They call it weeping woman disorder in some countries. Most of the time, they are laughing, but look distraught. At no point did any of them ever consider actually going to the hospital to check if he actually died. Kaiser Adolf was in there for a prolonged period, recovering. The Italian Secret Service organized a meeting with him at the hospital. After they did, the hospital staff started using his real name. Saying things like, yes, I know that is really Adolf Hitler in there. There was also the obligatory conversation about the death certificate that led to the "but I'm not dead, what am I supposed to do about this" statement. The Secret Service informed him a death certificate had been received and they had decided to cancel his diplomatic asylum agreement on a technicality. Waited. Then said he didn't need to worry, as they would give him plenty of time to make alternative arrangements and get as much money as he needed out of his Italian bank accounts. They then made garbled attempts to appeal to his sentimental side, saying that perhaps it was time to go live in Germany again, as if it was a nice thought and possibly ending. Their real motivation was the idea that people had been waiting for him in Germany for so long, since he took diplomatic asylum, rehearsing their stalking, that it would be difficult for them if they didn't get the opportunity to do it all in front of him. He took some time to recover. Whilst he was recovering, he chose a new location, very carefully. Bought a property. Then pre-booked everything. From travel and transfers to very expensive in-home care visits for elderly people. Prepaying for everything to be done regularly for him when he arrived at his new home. Cleaning, meals, nursing assistance, maintenance, everything. His diplomatic asylum agreement was cancelled, he got on a plane and was trying to get used to the idea of using his real name again. They were still waiting for him to turn back to a traumatized, staring zombie-like state when he moved to Australia in 1978 to be near me as his only remaining royal family. He moved into Hazeldean Road in my hometown of Yarragon, about 7 to 10 kilometers from my family home in Campbell Street. Hazeldean Road starts off the Prince's Freeway and is 2 streets to the west of my childhood home street of Campbell Street. He spent the last 4 years of his life quietly watching movies on his television, which were more authentic to the original films than anything he would have seen in Europe. He let me know he had arrived with a quick, "Be careful what you wish for." I even got a bodyguard that moved into the same street as me when I was 6. I didn't know about the bodyguard at the time though. It made those 4 years a lot easier for me than the previous 6. Natural consenting homosexual sexual behaviour was decriminalised here in the state of Victoria, Australia whilst he was here, even if they are recorded as being decriminalised shortly after he died in propaganda La La Land material. Kaiser Adolf Hitler the Hohenzollern died on his birthday anniversary on the 20th of April, 1982, when I was 10. He died in the house he was living in off Hazeldean Road in my old hometown of Yarragon. He had pre-bought himself a cemetery plot next to his Uncle Kaiser Fredereich Hohenzollern 4 in the Moe Memorial Cemetery in Gippsland. He was quietly buried next to his uncle with no funeral in 1982. The cemetery contains the remains of Adolf's deceased born twin died 1889, Kaiser Wilhelm I died 1888, Crown Prince Alois Hitler the Hohenzollern died 1903, Prince Edmund Hitler the Hohenzollern died 1897, Kaiser Fredereich IV died 1916, Wilhelm II's mother Lady Knight Victoria, and quite a few others. Adolf also purchased me a plot right next to his grandfather Kaiser Wilhelm I, who I look very alike to, without the patent bald patch. As I get older, I look more and more like Wilhelm II.